ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نؤمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون ولم ير الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم. سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
Thank you, Muntazir, for that recitation. Another nephew of Ashrafbai's will now come forward to recite Surah Mulk. Please welcome Muhammad Abbas Jibraj with a loud salawat. Allah salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير. وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير. إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير. وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور. ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نذير. ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير. أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير. أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور. أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور. أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أهدى أمن يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم. قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون. قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين. قل إنما علم عند الله قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين. فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون. قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب أليم. قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين. قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد.
Thank you, Muhammad Abbas, for that recitation. The first of 3 marshas will be recited now. A well-known reciter and a friend of ours here in Peterborough. He was not able to join us live for today, but has sent a marsha recorded especially for today's program at our request. Please, could I request you to recite a loud salawat for Brother Muhammad Abbas Kareem. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Before I begin, please can I request a Surah Fatiha for Marhuma Ashrafbai Yusuf Ali Kermalli. Rahimallahu man qara Surat al-Mubarakat al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad bulantar salawat. Allahumma salli ala آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین تیرا چہرہ تیری آنکھیں بھول کب پائی حسین آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین چلتے ناقے سے گرایا خود کو جلتی ریت پر چلتے ناقے سے گرایا خود کو جلتی ریت پر گھٹنیوں کے بل میں تیری لاش تک آئی حسین بس میں گھبرائی تھی خنجر تجھ پہ چلتا دیکھ کر بس میں گھبرائی تھی خنجر تجھ پہ چلتا دیکھ کر پھر کسی مشکل میں گھر کر میں نہ گھبرائی حسین اور کون تھا جو مرنے والوں میں نہیں تھا خوبرو بھولنے بیٹھی تو کس کس کی نہ یاد آئی حسین آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین اور دور افتادہ سفر سے لوٹ کر میں نے نوے دور افتادہ سفر سے لوٹ کر میں نے نوے جب پیا بس تیری یاد آئی حسین، ارے ٹھنڈا پانی جب پیا بس تیری یاد آئی حسین، آج بھی زینب کی آتی ہے صدا بھائی حسین۔ برائے تاجیل ظہور امام زمانہ آواز بلند صلوات، اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔ اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم۔
Our next Marsha will be recited by a close personal friend, Brother Muhammad Sadiq Jafar, and he'll be reciting a Marsha in remembrance of a mother. Please welcome Muhammad Sadiq Jafar with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajum. Ahsan, thanks of us. Assalamu alaikum. If we can first remember Marhuma Ashrafbai with and kul marhumin wa al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen ar-Rahman ar-Rahim Malik Yawmiddin. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. Safras, can you see the screen online?
Yeah, it's fine.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. موت کی آغوش میں جب تھک کے سو جاتی ہے ماں، موت کی آغوش میں جب تھک کے سو جاتی ہے ماں، موت کی آغوش میں جب تھک کے سو جاتی ہے ماں، تب کہیں جا کر سکون تھوڑا سا پا جاتی ہے ماں، اور فکر میں بچوں کی کچھ اسی طرح گل جاتی ہے ماں، فکر میں بچوں کی کچھ اس طرح گل جاتی ہے ماں، نوجواں ہوتے ہوئے بوڑھی نظر آتی ہے ماں، نوجواں ہوتے ہوئے بوڑھی نظر آتی ہے ماں، روح کے رشتوں کیے گہرائیاں تو دیکھیے، روح کے رشتوں کیے گہرائیاں تو دیکھیے، چھوٹی لگتی ہے ہمارے اور چلاتی ہے ماں، چھوٹی لگتی ہے ہمارے اور چلاتی ہے ماں، زندگانی کے سفر میں گردشوں کی دھوپ میں، زندگانی کے سفر میں گردشوں کی دھوپ میں، جب کوئی سایہ نہیں ملتا تو یاد آتی ہے ماں، جب کوئی سایہ نہیں ملتا تو یاد آتی ہے ماں، پیار کہتے ہیں کسے مامتا کیا چیز ہے، پیار کہتے ہیں کسے مامتا کیا چیز ہے، کوئی ان بچوں سے پوچھے جن کی مر جاتی ہے ماں، کوئی ان بچوں سے پوچھے جن کی مر جاتی ہے ماں، یاد آتا ہے شب عاشور کا کڑی الجوان، یاد آتا ہے شب عاشور کا کڑی الجوان، جب کبھی الجھی ہوئے زلفوں کو سلجھاتی ہے ماں، جب کبھی الجھی ہوئی زلفوں کو سلجھاتی ہے ماں، اللہ اللہ انتہا دیکھ صبر لیلا حسین، اللہ اللہ انتہا دیکھ صبر لیلا حسین، باپ نے کھینچی سینے کو سہلاتی ہے ماں، باپ نے کھینچی سینے کو سہلاتی ہے ماں، یہ بتا سکتی ہے ہم کو بس رباب خستتن، یہ بتا سکتی ہے ہم کو بس رباب خستتن، کس طرح بن دودھ کے بچے کو بہلاتی ہے ماں، کس طرح بن دودھ کے بچے کو بہلاتی ہے ماں، شمر کے خنجر سے یا سوکھے گلے سے پوچھئے، شمر کے خنجر سے یا سوکھے گلے سے پوچھئے ماں ادھر منہ سے نکلتا ہے ادھر آتی ہے ماں ادھر منہ سے نکلتا ہے ادھر آتی ہے ماں اپنے غم کو بھول کر روتے ہیں جو شبیر کو اپنے غم کو بھول کر روتے ہیں جو شبیر کو اپنے غم کو بھول کر روتے ہیں جو شبیر کو انہی کے اشکوں کے لیے جنت سے آ جاتی ہے ماں انہی کے اشکوں کے لیے جنت سے آ جاتی ہے ماں محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجهم. Again, if I can request for the Isaale Sawab or Marhumin, and in particular for Auntie Marhuma, Auntie Al-Fatiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Thank you, Muhammad Siddiq, for that recitation and also providing the English translation for those who don't speak Urdu. The next item on the agenda is this evening's Majlis. I'd like to thank Sheikh for accepting our request to speak at short notice, and we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him the strength to carry on propagating the message of the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. Ameen. Please welcome Sheikh Shabar Mehdi with a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتخبين المنتجبين الذين كلامهم نور وأمرهم رشد ووصيتهم التقوى وفعلهم الخير وعادتهم الإحسان وسجيتهم الكرم لا سيما على مهدي هذه الأمة وطاووس أهل الجنة الحجة ابن الحسن العسكري أرواحنا فداء. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيتها النفس المطمئنة ارجعي إلى ربك راضية مرضية فادخلي في عبادي وادخلي جنتي. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد. When we commemorate and inshallah send the Sawab of this Majlis to the Marhuma, I thought it would be beneficial for us to look at the life of one of the great companions of Imam al-Ridha and Imam al-Kadhim salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. And this woman is someone that when a person goes to Mashhad to visit the holy Imam salamullah alayh, normally these zawar will travel outside of Mashhad al-Muqaddas, Mashhad al-Munawwar, and travel to Naishapur in order to visit the grave of this woman. For not only were we told about the reward of visiting her grave, a very interesting story is found with regards to this woman, as well as a very interesting end to that story. And so I wish to look at what takes place and why it was that this woman, known as Shatita, was given such a great status in the eyes of Ahlul Bayt, alayhim wassalatu wassalam. And what is it, therefore, that is required in this world for us to also have the status or reach that which Lady Shatita, Ridwanullahi alayha, also achieved. Shatita is a woman who lives in Naishapur, and of course, this story we're told takes place during the time of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh. The Shia of Naishapur live, of course, very far away from their Imam who lives in Madinatul Munawwara. And so we're told, according to the historical reports, that during this time, because the Imam is so far away, thousands of kilometers or miles away in Madinatul Munawwara, there are often many issues that arise which the Shia of that place are unable to deal with. For example, questions, certain fiqhi issues arise, certain other theological questions. And if the Imam hasn't, for example, placed one of his representatives there, there's a lot of confusion. There's no one to answer those questions. The second issue that arose was that the Shia of Naishapur had collected all of their akhmas, all of their khums, all of their sadaqat to be given to the Imam salamullah alayhi. And as we're told, even today, this ruling still remains that once, for example, it becomes wajib on me to pay that khums, let's say it's been 1 year and my khums date has come and it's wajib for me to pay khums. If I delay paying it, if I'm not bothered to go and give it, for example, to my faqih and marja and the one I do taqlid of al-na'ib al-imam, then this delay is classified as ghasb, because I've taken the mal of the imam and rather than giving it to his representative, I've kept it. I'm classified as someone who is ghasib. So these people had two issues in Naishapur. Number one, we have questions that we wish to ask the holy Imam salamullah alayhi, but there's no one here to give us guidance and the Imam is far away. Number two, we have this money which is the haqq of the Imam. For the difference between sadaqah and khums is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Quran al-Kareem, khudh min amwalikum sadaqatan, from your wealth take out sadaqah, i.e. it's my wealth first, from there then I should take a piece and give it as sadaqah. Whereas when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about khums, he says, وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا غَنِمْتُم مِّن شَيْءٍ فَأَنَّ لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ. As for khums, from the beginning, it doesn't belong to me. From the beginning, it belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Rasul and the Imam. This is a difference. And so they don't want to be ghasib. They don't want to be someone that's taken the haqq of their Imam. They wish to give that money to Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. One person who is trustworthy, then he writes down all of these questions. He writes down the questions of these people and he takes and gathers the akhmas and the khums from the Shia of Naishapur. We're told his name is Muhammad ibn Ibrahim al-Naishapuri. And Muhammad ibn Ibrahim very carefully writes down the questions. There's one question on inheritance. There's another question on zakat. There's a third question on theology. Everything he writes. He collects what he's given from khums and he writes who has given what. And we're told he has 3,000 dinar, 50,000 dirham, and 1,000 items of clothing. So he's got all of this already. He has to travel. He's collected everything. When just about as he's about to leave Naishapur to go and travel towards Medina, Shatita, who's an elderly woman, she comes out and she stops. She asks around first, is that person still here? Or has he left? They said, no, he's still here. So she comes to him. She says, look, I wish to give you my amana for Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Now this person, for example, in this day and age, he's got hundreds and thousands of dollars or pounds with him as aman. Already he's stressed. Already he's worried. Anything could happen. This is mal of imam. And she comes and says, I wish to give you something. So Muhammad ibn Ibrahim says, what do you have? How much do you have? She said, I've got 1 dirham and 1 handkerchief item of clothing as a gift. This I want to gift my imam. Now he said, I was embarrassed. I was embarrassed that I've got all of this money. I should take this one. Imagine if I've got 500,000 pounds and someone gives me £3 also to give as khums. I was embarrassed, he said. He said, how can I take this to the imam? 1 small handkerchief, 1 dirham. She said, it's got nothing to do with you. This is the haqq of my imam on me. You take it, you give it to him. No questions asked. This is his haqq. What's it to do with you and being embarrassed or not being embarrassed? So right enough, he takes it, he records everything down, and Muhammad ibn Ibrahim then goes on his journey. We're told that when Muhammad ibn Ibrahim goes on this journey, because this journey is so long and he's going close to Medina, what would be the normal thing to do? Like when a person goes to Hajj at that time, or even a few hundred years ago, it takes a very long time. So they go and do other ziyarat, they do other things as well on the way. As Muhammad ibn Ibrahim is going, he decides to first go to Kufa and to do the ziyarah of Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. As he goes to do the ziyarah of the Holy Imam alayhi salatu wa salam in Najaf, and we're told that the ziyarah of Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen, salamullah alayhi, when did it begin? For there were many years that people didn't even know where the Imam is buried, due to fears of people trying to harm his grave or damage his grave. The Imams didn't tell anyone where Amir al-Mu'mineen is buried until when? Until the time of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi. There's a story mentioned that Sheikh Mufid mentions from the time of Harun al-Rashid. In any case, this was the time when people started doing the ziyarat. Muhammad ibn Ibrahim says, first, I will do the ziyarah of my master Amir al-Mu'mineen, then I'll continue on to Medina. Now, when he gets to Najaf al-Ashraf, when he performs the ziyarah, of course, he's going to also go where? He's going to go to Masjid al-Kufa. Masjid al-Kufa is one of the most sacred of mosques. And riwayat mention the great level of reward that a person gets just for reciting 2 rak'ah of salah in Masjid al-Kufa. But he goes into Masjid al-Kufa, he visits those other maqamat, and he says, I saw a very elderly man sitting in Masjid Kufa. This elderly man who was sitting in Masjid Kufa, I saw that he was so old that his eyebrows were drooped over his eyes, as happens when a person becomes very elderly. And I saw him sitting and he's surrounded by a number of people. And so I thought this must be someone well-known, someone important, an alim. I asked, who is this? They said, this is the companion of the Imams by the name of Thabit ibn Dinar. And all of you have heard of Thabit ibn Dinar, maybe not by his name, but by his title. Thabit ibn Dinar, whose title was Abu Hamza al-Thumali. His name is Thabit ibn Dinar, his title is Abu Hamza. Abu Hamza is that person who was a companion of the 4th, and the 5th, and the 6th, and the 7th Imam. 4 Imams he's a companion of. And Imam al-Ridha alayhi salatu wasalam has in a narration says that Abu Hamza al-Thumali was the Salman al-Muhammadi al-Farsi of his time. What is a greater status than this Salman al-Muhammadi, who's the highest level of Iman? Salman minna ahl al-Bayt. The same thing was given to who? To Abu Hamza. So this Muhammad ibn Ibrahim al-Nayshaburi says, when I heard that Abu Hamza al-Thumali is here surrounded by people, I came straight up to him, I greeted him. I said, Abu Hamza, I've come from Nayshabur, and this is the reason why I've come. I've taken the haqq of the, to bring the haqq of the Imam. I've got questions. Abu Hamza hugs him, greets him. Abu Hamza says, well done. Well done for bringing people closer to their Imam, allowing them to have this communication. Why? Because the responsibility is on his shoulders. Often we forget this. When a person, for example, stands in front of the Saf in Salatul Jama'ah and read the prayers, he's putting all of the salah on his neck, on his line. Which is why, yes, if he makes a mistake, he's accountable and answerable, but also his reward is more because he's taking that risk. When a marji' comes and takes my khums, on behalf of the Imam and spends it in the way that the Imam would want, he's taking the responsibility off my neck and it goes on to him. So the danger is on him, which is why his reward is also greater. Muhammad ibn Ibrahim sacrifices this. He could have stayed at home and not had this risk of losing money, of giving it to the right person, but he went anyway. Abu Hamza says, well done. Well done for taking the risk, but going anyway and allowing your people to get closer to their Imam. As they're sitting, Abu Hamza then tells the people, can you see who is coming? So the people look and they can't see anyone. He said, no, look closer, you'll see that someone is coming. So when they saw that a person is coming on horseback, the person gets off his horse, he enters in. They ask who he is. The response comes, this person has come from Medina. Any Shia at that time, any follower of the Ahlul Bayt at that time, if they hear Medina and the city of their Imams, they straight away ask, how is my Imam? What state is my Imam in? Abu Hamza, when he hears that this person has come from Medina, the first question that he asks is, how is Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi? How is my Imam? What's the state of my Imam? So the person says, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Unfortunately, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi has just passed away. Abu Hamza is in a lot of grief. The others are also in a lot of grief, as is who? Muhammad ibn Ibrahim. Why? Because I've got 3,000 dinar, 50,000 dirham. I've got all these items of clothing to give to Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. When I get to Medina, if I don't know who the next Imam is, who am I going to give this money to? I wasn't there. I don't know who the next Imam was. For Abu Hamza, he asks that person from Medina, he says, did the Imam mention who his successor is, who the next Imam is? So the person says yes. Now we expect which answer? Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam. We expect that the Imam came and said yes. The person comes and says the Imam placed Imam Musa ibn Ja'far as his successor. But the person doesn't say that. The person says Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi placed and mentioned 3 people as his successor. The first, Mansur al-Dawaniqi. Mansur, the Abbas. The second, his eldest son, Abdullah al-Aftah. And the third, Musa ibn Ja'far, salamullah. So straight away, when Abu Hamza Thumali heard this, he straight away said, I've understood. I understood who my Imam is. Why? Because Abu Hamza is a close companion to the Imam. He knows what Imam Musa ibn Ja'far has just done. So that the Shia after him wouldn't be persecuted, he said, my successor is Mansur al-Dawaniqi. On hearing this, Mansur then is less likely to hurt the followers of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq. So this is why he said that. Abdullah Aftah, we're told, who is the oldest son, which is why Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq is called Abu Abdullah. Abdullah Aftah, we're told, had a problem in one of his eyes, which is why he would cover his eyes with some sort of clothing. He would cover his eyes with some sort of clothing, and we know that the riwayat tell us that an Imam cannot have any physical defect. Why? Because the people then are less likely to follow. If the people see that the Imam has a certain defect, they won't listen to him. They won't follow him because of their mindset, which is why we have narrations that the Imam will never have a physical defect so that people don't get put away from following him. Those people that have that type of mindset. So it can't be Abdullah Aftah. Straight away, Abu Hamza Thumali says, I realized that my next Imam is Imam Musa ibn Ja'far, salamullah. In any case, Muhammad ibn Ibrahim then after a few days, he leaves Kufa. As he leaves Kufa and he gets to Medina, he does the ziyarah of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala. He does the ziyarah of the Prophet of Islam sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, and he asks someone in the Masjid Nabawi, he says, who is the successor of Ja'far al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi? So this person straight away said the successor of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq salamullah alayhi is Abdullah Aftah, his oldest son. Muhammad ibn Ibrahim had kept most of the money that he had with him in a place where he was staying. And he goes to find the house of Abdullah Afta. He says, when I saw his house, number one, I saw that there are many servants. So straight away I began to doubt, and Imam has this many servants. I entered into the house, I saw beautiful rugs, beautiful carpet, lavish lifestyle. Straight away I thought, is this my Imam? Anyway, I didn't ask any questions. Who am I to ask questions? I asked to see him. I saw him leaning. He was in the room leaning on one of these carpets. I gave him a bit of that money and I thought, let me ask him. I said, yeah, Imam, I've got questions. Abdullah Afta, I've got questions. I asked him 1 or 2 questions. I saw that he's unable to answer my questions. He's unable to answer my questions. So I thanked him and I left, and I realized that this can't be my Imam. Why? Because someone that can't even answer simple masail of fiqh, simple issues of fiqh, of course he's not going to be my Imam. And Imam is known by their knowledge, by their ilm. So I went back to the grave of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the masjid, and I said, Ya Allah, with the wasila of the Prophet of Islam, please guide me. If I have this money, where will I go? I need to know who to give it to, who the next Imam is. I don't know, there's confusion. As he was saying these things, he hears a voice and says, Muhammad, why are you confused? So I looked, I said, who knows my name here? The voice said, Muhammad, why are you confused? Who knows my name? I saw there's a person, by his clothing, I could tell he is a servant of someone. A person said, come to me and I'll take you to my master, Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salam, and he will solve all of your problems. Muhammad ibn Ibrahim gets up. He takes all of the amanat that he has. He's thinking, this guy knows my name. He knows that I've got everything. This must be someone who knows the Imam. He says, I got to the house. There's only one servant. There's only one servant. I got to the house. The house is very humble. Not that many things are there. I entered in with these amanat and I saw my Imam Musa ibn Ja'far salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. And when I saw my Imam sitting there, he asked straight away, he knows exactly what I want. He asked straight away for his amanat. This is his haq. This belongs to him. So I took out all of them and I was telling him this is much, that much. He knows everything already. He said, you don't need to tell me this is from that person, this is from that person. I know already who's given. And straight away he asked, he says, and where is the amana of Shatita? That same one. Where is the amana of Shatita? So I took out that one dirham and I gave him this small handkerchief and he touches it. And he says, you have questions? So straight away I thought, how does he know that I've got questions? I said, yes. The Imam said, take out your questions. He says, I took out my questions. I took out the piece of paper that I had, which had these questions written on it. And I saw that as soon as I took it out, each question already had a written answer already. And at the bottom of this page, there was a seal which says these questions have been answered by Musa ibn Ja'far. Salawatullah wa salam. So I realized straight away that this is my Imam. I don't need to tell him the questions have already been answered. He knows about Shatita. Due to the sincerity within which Shatita had given that haqq, she doesn't care. Whatever she has, sometimes we have this idea, if I want to gift someone something, sometimes a person has a lot and can gift a lot but is stingy. That's a different question. Another case, a person doesn't have that much, but with their heart, whatever they have, they wish to gift. Shatita knows that she doesn't have that much, but she knows that in the eyes of Ahlul Bayt, alayhimu salatu wasalam, if I give whatever I have, even the smallest of things, it will be accepted. A small handkerchief. And the Imam, out of all of that money that is there, those thousands of dirham and dinar, he cares about what she gets. That one dinar, that one handkerchief. The Imam then tells him and says, look, when you go back, I want you to give something to Shatita. He gives her then, because Shatita gave that handkerchief to the Imam to keep with him when he, for example, dies and passes away. The Imam then gives Shatita, what does he give her? He gives her also a handkerchief and a piece of cloth. And he says, this piece of cloth has come from cotton that belonged to my grandmother, Fatima to Zahra. Give this to Shatita. And also give her 40 dirham. 16 of these she can use on herself. 24, tell her to give away in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And also tell her that after 19 days, look at the status of this woman who people go to visit in Nishapur. After 19 days, she will pass away. And when she passes away, know and look out for me that I myself will come from Medina to Nishapur to recite prayers on her during her burial. He says, I took what the Imam gave for Shatita. I thanked him and I left. When I left, and as soon as I returned back to Nishapur, people asked me, I showed them the answers to their questions. Shatita came. I said, the Imam answered your, the Imam accepted your gift. And this is what the Imam has given. That the Imam has given you this amount of money and this handkerchief, which is from the cotton owned by Fatima Zahra. Why? Because she has so much sincerity in what she does. She doesn't look at other people and worldly affairs. She cares about the haqq of her Imam. Whatever the haqq of my Imam is, I need to adhere to. And she has so much sincerity that then we're told, Shatita, she passes away exactly 19 days later. Imam Musa ibn Ja'far alayhi salatu wasalam was seen in Nishapur, and the Imam does perform the prayers over Shatita. And when he performs the prayers over Shatita, then he tells Muhammad ibn Ibrahim this line. He says, tell my Shia and our Shia, if they perform amal salih, if they perform righteous actions like she performed righteous actions, if they have this sincerity, if they care about the haqq of their Imam over them, you know, sometimes I don't have that much wealth, sometimes I don't have that much money, but whatever I can, I do in service of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. Like Lady Shatita used to do. Whatever I have, whatever my capacity is, I give it to Ahlul Bayt salamullahi alayhim. The Imam says, tell them if they do so, I myself will come and visit them and pray over them. I will visit them in their last moments and I will pray over them when they are being buried and before they're being buried. And this is a statement that we don't just find here by Imam Kadhim sallallahu. We find many narrations of this being said. Imam al-Ridha sallallahu, I'll give you one example. Imam Ridha sallallahu alayhi is seen, according to the riwayah of Bihar, on the outskirts of what we'd call today Mashhad, Khurasan. He's with a certain person. They could hear wailing and screaming. When they could hear wailing and screaming, they went towards those sounds. They saw that there is a funeral. The person who's narrating this says, we had just seen that there is a funeral. Before anything could even happen, I saw that the Imam is already there helping pick up the coffin. Then the Imam helps put the body into the grave and he's crying and wailing. Imam al-Ridha sallallahu. Then when everyone goes, the Imam then does a dua on this grave. And the Imam is wailing and crying. I came up to him, I said, Ya ibn Rasulullah, it seems that you knew this person well. As soon as you saw the funeral, you ran towards it, you're helping, you're crying, or doing dua. It seems you knew this person well. So the Imam replies by saying, I've never come to this area in Khurasan before in my life. Meaning what? Of course I know him, but I've never come here that I've met him before. I've never met him. So then what? It says this was one of our Shia. Our Shia should know that when they have performed righteous deeds, when they are classified as our Shia, we come to their funerals, we pray over them, we are there during the time that they are placed in their graves. And then he says, and when they should know that we are informed of their actions. When they perform good deeds, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower them with blessings. And when they perform that which they shouldn't do, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive. Shatita likewise, because of her sincerity. With whatever I have in this life, if I give it in the way of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam with sincerity, the Imams themselves have this, as I said, that they come to the funeral prayers. Maybe I can't see. Sahib Zaman Salamullah alayhi comes. He prays over those deceased due to the purity within which they followed Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam. These are the days when we remember normally during these next few months the Lady of Light, Fatima Zahra alayhi salatu wassalam. How interesting that when Imam Musa ibn Ja'far wishes to gift something to Lady Shatita, he gifts her a handkerchief from Fatima to Zahra. Why? Because Zahra is not only the mother of the Imma, but the Imma had a close connection to their grandmother. How is it that anyone has a close connection with their mother, with their grandmother? Imma had this close connection. That, for example, a person, when he comes to Imam as-Sadiq and says, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I had a daughter. And he would say, what have you named this daughter? The response would come, I've named this daughter Fatima. And so the Imam would say, if you've named this daughter Fatima, then I have a request that never shout at her, never hit her. Why? Because she has the same name as my grandmother, Fatima Zahra. The respect of this name is such that don't shout at her, don't say things which are inappropriate to her, don't hit her. For she has the same name as my grandmother, Fatima Zahra. Likewise, when it comes to Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein, likewise, when it comes to Zainab and Kulthum, what is the most difficult part of their lives? The most difficult part of their lives is what takes place with Fatima Zahra. For a khatib, one of the speakers, he goes on the minbar. He goes on the minbar, he recites Majlis of Sayyid Imam Hassan, salamullah alayhi. It was during the martyrdom of Imam Hassan, the Shaykh. So I mentioned the Masa'ib of Imam Hassan, salamullah alayhi. I came home. When I came home, I slept, and in my dream, who did I see? I saw Imam Hassan, salamullah alayhi. Imam Hassan then asks me. Imam Hassan said to him, Ya Shaykh, why did you not recite my most difficult masa'ib and tragedy? The Shaykh says, Ya ibn Rasulullah, I recited that you were poisoned by your wife, Jordan. He said, this is a great masa'ib, but this is not my greatest. He says, I recited that blood would come out with you from your mouth due to the poison. He said, this is great, a tragedy, but not the greatest. I said, you are not able to be buried next to your grandfather. Rasulullah. He said, this is a great tragedy, but not the greatest of my tragedies. The Shaykh would then say, Ibn Rasulullah, tell me then which is the greatest of your tragedy. He would say, oh Shaykh, there was a stream in Medina and a house in Medina and a door in Medina, and my mother would be between the door and the wall, and they would say, سأحرق الدار ومن فيها. They would burn the house and whoever is in the house, and someone would claim and say, فيها القرآن. In the house is Quran, they would say, وإن, even then, someone would say, فيها الحسن وحسين. In the house is Hassan and Hussein, he would say, even then, someone would say, Fiha Fatima Zahra. In the house is Fatima Zahra, he would say, even then, I don't care. Imam Hassan said, this was my greatest masa'ib, Asaruha Bayna al-Babi wal-Jidar. I would see them crushing her between the door and the wall, and she would say, ماذا على من شم تربة أحمدين أن لا يشوم مدى الزمان غواليا. صبت علي مسائب لو أنها صبت علي الأيام سرنا لياليا. I would hear her cry out, out, I would hear her say, Fidda khudini, hold me, for Muhsin has left this world. This is the greatest masa'ib of Imam Hassan, for Imam Hassan is a son. How can he see his mother in this state? And that's why then, a few days later, after the burial of Zahra, a person knocks on the door of Amirul Mu'mineen. Imam Ali would come out crying, lamenting. The person would say, Ya Abul Hassan, why do you still cry? Death is normal for you, Ahlul Bayt. He would say, yes, death is normal. I cry because I was given an amana by Rasulullah. But when I gave this amana back to him, it was wounded and the ribs of this amana had been broken. على لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the thawab of this majlis, as well as the tears that have been shed for Ahlul Bayt alayhi wassalatu wassalam, for the Marhuma. And we wish to end with Al-Fatiha with 3 times Surah Al-Ikhlas. تسبقها الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.
Thanks for the Majlis Sheikh. And once again, thank you for gracing us with your presence and delivering a Majlis at short notice, Hassan. Our next reciter will be Brother Ali Asghar Jivraj. Ali Asghar is also another nephew of the Marhuma, and he will be reciting our final Marsha. Please welcome him with a Nara Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللهم صل على محمد. हमको पानी ना मिले तेरी खुशबू तो रहे तेरे बाजू ना करते चाहे मशकी जाची दे ये मगर हो ना सका तेरे बाजू है जुदा मुझ पे है तशना नबी तू नाया गाजी जब विदा सर से छिदी मैं सदा देती रही तू नाया गाजी धूप में तू था शजर तुझसे आबाद था गर है बरहना मेरा सर क्या नहीं तुझको खबर है अलमदारे वफा इस बहन को बाखुदा तुझसे धारस थी बरी तू नाया गाजी जब جبریدہ سر سے چینی آ گئی شام علام لٹ گئے لے حرام ریت پر جلتی ہوئی ہو گیا ٹھنڈا لام پرسا دینے کے لیے مجھ سے ملنے کے لیے آ گئے بابا علی تو نہ آیا غازی جبریدہ سر سے چینی کیا کہوں شعر میرے بیریدہ ہم کو لیے یہ مسلمان سارے شہر در شہر پھرے خلقت کوفہ کبھی خلقت شام کبھی اور ہاں ہم پہ ہنسی تو نہ آیا غازی جبریدہ سر سے چینی کتنی بے بس تھی بہن کتنی بے بس تھی بہن اے شہنشاہ وفا نام لے لے کے میرا جب یہ ظالم نے کہا ناز تھا جس پہ تجھے اب بلاؤ نہ اسے اور میں روتی رہی سنایا غازی جبریدہ سر سے چیدی قید خانے میں قضا جب سکینہ کو ملی دیکھے کرتے کا کفن بچی دفنائی گئی اس گھری نام تیرا صورت ناد علی دکھ میں دہراتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی جبریدہ سر سے چیدی میں صدا دیتی رہی تو نہ آیا غازی سورۃ المبارکۃ الفاتحہ
Thank you, Ali Asghar, for that recitation. We have one item left on the agenda before we conclude. But for those of you who kind of joined later on, I just want to reiterate some of the things I said at the beginning of the program. For those of you who joined later, the Marhuma was my Masi. On behalf of my Masa, Uncle Joe, my cousins, Shairoz, Azmina, and family, we would like to thank you all for your words of comfort, prayers, and messages of condolence at this difficult time. May the Almighty bless you one and all for your efforts. Ameen. To conclude, I would like to ask my brother, Muhammad Raza Mavani, to recite Ziyarat Ashura, after which the program will conclude. Thank you for all attending. Muhammad, please, could you come on to video now? Asant.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا خيرة الله وابن خيرته. السلام عليك يا سار الله وابن ساره والوتر الموتور. السلام عليك وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك. عليكم مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بكيت وبقي الليل والنهار. يا أبا عبد الله لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت وعظمت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل الإسلام. وجلت وعظمت مصيبتك في السماوات على جميع أهل السماوات. فلعن الله أمة أساس الظلم والجور عليكم أهل البيت. ولعن الله أمة دفعتكم عن مقامكم وزالتكم عن مراتبكم التي رتبكم الله فيها. ولعن الله أمة قتلتكم. ولعن الله ممهدين لهم بالتمكين من قتالكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم ومن أشيائهم وأتباعهم وأوليائهم. يا أبا عبد الله إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم إلى يوم القيامة. ولعن الله آل زياد وآل مروان. ولعن الله بني أمية قاطبة. ولعن الله ابن مرجانة. ولعن الله عمر بن سعد. ولعن الله شمرة. ولعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتناقبت وتهيأت لقتالك. بأبي أنت وأمي لقد أزم مصابي بك. فأسأل الله الذي أكرم مقامك وأكرمني بك أن يرزقني طلب الصارق مع إمام منصور من أهل بيت محمد صلى الله عليه وآله. اللهم اجعلني عندك وجيها بالحسين عليه السلام في الدنيا والآخرة. يا أبا عبد الله إني أتقرب إلى الله وإلى رسوله وإلى أمير المؤمنين وإلى فاطمة وإلى الحسن وإليك بموالاتك وبالبراءة ممن قاتلك ونسب لك الحرب وبالبراءة ممن أسس ساز الظلم والجور عليكم. وابرأوا إلى الله وإلى رسوله ممن أسس ذلك وبنى عليه بنيانه وجرى في ظلمه وجوره عليكم وعلى أشيائكم. برئت إلى الله وإليكم منهم وتقربوا إلى الله ثم إليكم بموالاتكم وموالاة وليكم وبالبراءة من أعدائكم والناصبين لكم الحرب وبالبراءة من أشيائهم وأتباعهم إني سلم لمن سالمكم وحرب لمن حاربكم وولي لمن والاكم وعدو لمن أعداكم فأسأل الله الذي أكرمني بمعرفتكم ومعرفة أوليائكم ورزقني البراءة من أعدائكم أن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة وأن يثبت لي عندكم قدم صدق في الدنيا والآخرة وأسأله أن يبلغني المقام محمود لكم عند الله وأن يرزقني طلب الثاري مع إمام هدى ظاهر ناطق بالحق منكم وأسأل الله بحقكم وبالشأن الذي لكم عنده أن يؤتيني بمصابي بكم أفضل ما يؤتي مصابا من مصيبته مصيبة ما زمها وزمها رزيتها في الإسلام وفي جميع السماوات والأرض اللهم اجعلني في مقامي هذا ممن تناله منك صلوات ورحمة ومغفرة اللهم اجعل محياي محيا محمد وآل محمد ومماتي ممات محمد وآل محمد اللهم إني هذا يوم تبركت به بنو أمية وابن آكلته الأقباد اللعين ابن اللعين على لسانك ولسان نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله في كل موطن وموقف وكفى فيه نبيك صلى الله عليه وآله اللهم الآن أبا سفيان ومعاوية ويزيد بن معاوية عليهم منك اللعنة أبد العابدين وهذا يوم فرحت به آل زياد وآل مروان بقتلهم الحسين صلوات الله عليه اللهم فزايف عليهم اللعنة منك والعذاب العليم اللهم إني يتقرب إليك في هذا اليوم وفي موقفي هذا وأيام حياة البراءة منهم واللعنة عليهم وبالموالاة لنبيك وآل نبيك عليه وعليهم السلام اللهم الآن أول ظالم ظلم حق محمد وآل محمد وآخر التابع له على ذلك اللهم لن الإصابة التي جاهدت الحسين والشايعات وبايعات وتابت على قتله اللهم لعنهم جميعا السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين اللهم خص أنت أول ظالم باللعن مني وأدأ به أولا ثم الثانية ثم الثالثة ثم الرابع اللهم الآن يزيد خامسا والآن عبيد الله بن زياد وابن مرجانة وعمر بن سعد وشمرة وآل أبي سفيان وآل زياد وآل مروان إلى يوم القيامة سجود اللهم لك الحمد حمد الشاكرين لك على مصابهم الحمد لله على عظيم رزيتي اللهم ارزقني شفاعة الحسين يوم الورود وثبت لي قدم صدق عندك مع الحسين وأصحاب الحسين الذين بذلوا مهجهم دون الحسين عليه السلام. اللهم صل. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك وعلى جدك وأبيك وعلى أمك وأخيك وعلى الأئمة من ذريتك وبنيك وعلى المستشهدين معك وعلى الملائكة الحافين بقبرك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين. السلام عليك يا محمد الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى القاسم. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا سلطان العرب والأجام. السلام عليك يا أبا الحسن علي ابن موسى الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا محمد تقي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي النقي الهادي. السلام عليك يا حسن العسكري. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا إمام زماننا هذا. أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وزهورك وجلنا من أنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. سورة المبارك الفاتحة. مرحوم أشرفbai كرمالي عن كل مرحومين. الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك